Hello, everyone. You're welcome to this evening session. Please just confirm that you can hear me. And everyone confirm that you can hear me loud and clear. I need a feedback. Can you all hear me, please? Okay, all right. Yeah, Bilke said you can. Okay, so we'll just wait a few more minutes, just 2 minutes. I'll give 2 more minutes and we can get started and right into it. So if you're just coming in, please do well to drop your name and the country where you're joining in from tonight. You can drop that in the chat, just your name and where you're joining in from. And if you also like to introduce yourself, maybe you do this, you may just find somebody who is as well, possibly in the same field or in the same vocation as yourself. Yeah, Bilkis, you're joining from Edinburgh, Scotland. Yeah, you're welcome, Bilkis.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Chukwuigwe Samuel. Yeah, you're welcome as well. Solomon Timiebi, you're welcome as well. Yeah, thank you for joining tonight. So if you just want to drop in the chats, maybe your name and where you're joining from, Nigeria, Ghana. Yeah, I think I saw some registrations from Uganda. Yeah, so if wherever you're joining in from, please just do well to drop it in the chat. And at 17:05, we are going to, sorry, 19:05, we are going to be getting right straight into it. Adeleke, you're welcome. Adeleke Oluwaseun, you're welcome. So just before you came in, I think, yeah, I mentioned that wherever you're joining in from, you can just put your name and what country you're joining in from in the chat. So very quickly right now, we are going to be starting. Yeah, thank you, Samuel, for joining in from Nigeria. All right, so we'll just make a head start and trust that the other persons who have possibly registered as well, they would also be joining in. And the session is going to be, or is being recorded. So please, I would appreciate the fact that we're going to be sending you the recordings and the timestamps after the event. So you can also be on the lookout for that. Today, yes, we are going to be going right into green skills and global opportunities. I'm very sure many of us are very, very interested in, positioning ourselves for global opportunities, and that's why we're here. So we're going to be getting that ready just right now. I'm going to be introducing ClimateProfessional as an organization, and I'm going to be sharing with you briefly some of the things that we do and we are set out to actually achieve, with this project. So we're based in the United Kingdom, and myself, by the mercies of God, I'm actually based in the United Kingdom. And the idea is that we're a climate education and capacity building platform designed to equip individuals, especially from the global south. There is this stratification. There is the global north and the global south. Global North represents countries that are economically viable and are to a great extent, doing well in terms of infrastructure, doing well in terms of, all the things that you can talk about basic amenities in life. And the Global South are possibly struggling economies, largely the African continent falls in the global south. And the idea is that we're trying to make the knowledge of climate education very accessible to everyone equally. And our core focus areas are going to be delivering climate change education and trainings. We're also going to be talking about professional upskilling for green jobs and nature-based solutions. The things that make us different, we are really, really interested in bridging the gap between the theory and practical career pathways. And that's why we're actually organizing some of these webinar series and the ones that are going to be coming up in the future. We actually want to be able to also deliver real-world application and not just awareness. So we want to give you agency that makes you translate what you know about climate change into something that is really, really, solving the world problem around you. I'm going to be going, deeper into that, as the session goes. And the vision is simple. We want to democratize access to climate knowledge and agency for the Global South audience. There are many young people, definitely, I'm Nigerian myself, I'm only privileged to be in the United Kingdom. And I have seen this wide disparity between what's happening in the north here and what's happening down south. And that's actually what we want to do. There are many things that we are trusting that we are going to be able to make it access. So that it's not about my father is so and so person. It's about the fact that this knowledge, this education, these skills needs to be accessible to everyone, everywhere, irrespective of where you're coming from. Our approach is very simple. We have 4 pillars and trainings and certifications. We also have strategic partnerships. In fact, we're working on 1 or 2 of them right now with some government organizations, as well as also, some individual organizations with program delivery. The aim and the objective is to have program delivery for the Global South. Also, we're talking about policy and system thinking and a community and an ecosystem. We want to create a climate professional ecosystem where young professionals, young graduates are equipped thoroughly. There's a thriving community where we want to be able to build people's competencies to be able to access opportunities in the green economy. I'm going to be sharing some mind-blowing statistics and why there is a place for you in the green economy. It's very, very important that you know. So irrespective of your background, irrespective of where you're coming from, irrespective of what the circumstances around you is, if we work together in the long run, the idea or the objective is that you are going to be able to position yourself rightly for the right opportunities. So then I'll just tell you a brief about myself. My name is Oluwafemi, as most of you know. Definitely, I believe you should know by now. And I'm a climate and sustainable professional in the United Kingdom. I'm working at the intersection of low carbon infrastructure, policy, community-driven climate solutions in the United Kingdom. So my job spans working within local authorities, community organizations, community groups, and bringing them together, bringing them into the room to actually discuss on how they can promote climate action in their respective jurisdictions. So that's actually the work I sit upon, in my daily day-to-day job in the United Kingdom. And my expertise areas are, very, very diverse. I do sustainability and community infrastructure. I also do nature-based solutions in terms of some works that I do. And definitely this platform is my opportunity to actually, give climate education and workforce, for the Global South communities. Then I'm really looking forward to engaging with Global South audience. And the vision is this. I am really, really invested in closing the knowledge and opportunity gap. That's one thing that really, really drives me. If you ask me one thing that is keeping me going in the things I do, I want to be sure that the opportunities that are available, all over the world are accessible to the everyday person in the Global South. We have many young people And it is very, very important that they are also given access, in fact, equal access, irrespective of where you're coming from on the globe. So that's my major focus and one of the things that really drives me on the Climate Professional Project. I would also like a reaction at this point in the chat. How many of us have heard about the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon? How many of us have heard of that before? It's also otherwise known as the frequency illusion. Anybody? Okay, Bilke said no. Okay, yeah, that's fine. A thumbs down means no, yeah. Any other person, have you heard about that? I'm not sure. Okay. It's definitely something you know, but maybe not just as this name. The Baader-Meinhof phenomenon is that phenomenon that happens that when you become aware of something for the first time. For example, a practical example is this. The day you decide and say, I want to buy a red car. I want to buy a red car. I want to buy a red car. Or I want to buy a Camry car. This is what I want to buy. From that very day you made that decision, or from that very day you knew that there was something called a Toyota Camry car, what happens is that everywhere you go, you are going to be seeing either the red car or the Camry car. It's called the frequency illusion. Why am I saying this and why am I bringing this to us here? Some of the things I'm going to be showing us today, trust me, after today, you are going to be seeing them come up again and again, and you'll be like, how come I never knew about this all along? You just begin to see that your eye will be very, very picky when you see green opportunities. When you see things, you'll be looking at them from the green economy perspective. When you hear things, when you surf through the internet, when you check through your Facebook, when you check what you are going to do, you are just going to be seeing how frequent, this opportunity even exists. But before now, you may not have been taking cognizance of them. So it's called the frequency illusion. The day you first of all learn about something, or you make up your mind to do something, what happens is that every other thing in your environment begins to look like that thing. You begin to see it more frequently. So that's what is called the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon. Going on from there, the icebreaker here is this. Think of where you will be in the next 10 years if you utilize the knowledge you will gain in today's session. I don't want to bog us with another philosophy, but there's something called the principle of 10 years. It's basically simple that human beings are able to just, to process things. Many times we need a space of 10 years to really make sense of whatever venture we decide to put our energies into. So let me give you a 10 years frame window. That's by 2036. 2036. Think of where you will be or where you can be in the next 10 years if you utilize some of the knowledge or some of the information you are going to be having on this session. Just think about it in your mind for a second. So that's one thing I want you to engage your mind with wherever you are right now. Think about it. If I do some things, if I take some steps, if I take some actions from where I am right now, in the next 10 years, where would I be in the next 10 years? So that's something for you to think about as we are, continuing. Before we begin, two numbers I want you to look at, one on your right and one on your left. The number 60% of Nigerian youths have considered emigrating. And this is what we call, as it were, Japa. Am I correct? Yeah, Japa. You want to Japa. Many persons, many Nigerian youths, feel that, yes, I need to Japa to be able to make it. Yes, to a great extent, you may, but at the same time, the other side of the coin is this. 3.3 million new direct jobs. 3.3 million new direct green jobs across Africa by 2030. Sorry, there's somebody in the waiting room I need to admit. Yes, okay. All right, you're welcome. If you're just joining us, please do well to introduce yourself in the chat. Just drop your name and the country you're joining in from, so that we can just have a statistics of where we're joining in from. Yeah, so I was saying that 60% of Nigerian youths, are considered or are considering migration, which we popularly known as Japa. Also, on the other hand, there is a forecast from the FSD Africa report 2024 that by 2030, 3.3 million new direct green jobs are going to open up by 2030. That's 3.3 million. So what most people are looking for, okay, most of them are looking for people who do not exist yet. And that's why it's important that you are sitting in this room tonight. Those jobs that we're talking about in 2030 are going to be filled by people who may not even be in such lines as of today as we're speaking to you. So it means that if we begin to take action between now and possibly next year, but gradually we'll build ourselves into this workforce, and that is exactly what I'm going to be sharing with you in this webinar. Now, tonight's roadmap, very quickly, we are going to be running through the numbers that you should really consider. Remember, we talked about the Baader-Meinhof principle, Meinhof's principle earlier. You are going to be seeing things that should actually stop you from scrolling. And secondly, we're going to be looking at why this matter and why now. I'm going to be helping you to paint the big picture in your head. We're going to be helping you to paint the big picture in your head. All right. Then I'm going to be giving you, and this is the high point of this webinar, I'm going to be giving you the 3S of the green careers entry, which is the sectors that are hiring, the skills, and the steps you need to take to actually be a part of that 3.3 million new green jobs holders by 2030. So we're also going to be killing some of the myths, some of the lies that young Nigerian people, believe about the climate and green careers. Then next up, we're going to be having the question and answers. Some of the things I have, been able to I've actually received some questions which we're actually going to be tackling. So if you also have some questions possibly on your mind, this is the best time for you to please begin to pen them down, so that when we have Q&A, you'll be able to ask your questions straight on time. Yeah, thank you, Lucky Samuel, for joining in from Taraba State. You're welcome. Yeah, from Nigeria. All right, going ahead, I'm going to be showing you some statistics. These statistics are really going to, some shock you, some may surprise you, but these are real fact and figures as of today. Fact and figures. And I think that they should propel you for action. That's actually why I'm taking time to actually go through the statistics with you. Sorry, the first one. Let me just go back my slide. Just hold on, please. Let me start from... All right. On the global scale, we're going to be starting from the globe. Then we're going to be narrowing in on Africa and also Nigeria, where most of us are dialing in from, or the fact that many of us or all of us on this call maybe are Nigerians. Yeah. So 16.6 million people are already working in the renewable energy sector worldwide. In the renewable energy sector worldwide. Last year, 2025, the renewable energy generation capacity exceeded, that of fossil fuel in a very long period of time. What that means is that the amount of energy that is generated using solar, wind, and other renewable technology is now exceeding the amount of energy generated from the conventional method that we know. So it means that as we approach 2050, there is going to be much more opportunities in this space. And to shock you, that's actually more than the entire population of Lagos State. Maybe some of us are from Lagos. I grew up in Lagos, before going to River State, but that is more than the entire population of Lagos State, not River State. Sorry, don't mind me. So that is one of the statistics you should keep in mind. Now, number two, 2.5 million new jobs just added in 12 months. And that's the largest jump on records, from 13.7 million in 2022 to 16.2 million in 2023. 1 year, 2.5 million new jobs. In fact, these days, every time I go on LinkedIn, honestly, every time I go on LinkedIn, the kind of jobs that are coming up every day, it is more like, but the problem is they are looking for qualified people. Qualified people. These jobs are there. One of the fastest growing economy right now, in line with tech, is the climate space, is the green economy. All right. 7.3 million jobs in solar photovoltaic cells globally. Definitely, if I ask you one renewable energy technology, most of you now, the first thing you are going to mention is solar, because that is what is most rampant. Yes, there are many other technologies in renewable energy. There are many. There are many other technologies. There is the wind power, there is the hydro, there is the biomass, and different other technologies in the renewable. But the most prominent one that and in fact, even from the registrations, one of the things you discover is that most people, when you ask them, "Oh, what do you want to go into?" everybody thinks about solar. Yes, it's good, but that is just one of the many other sectors in the green economy. So I'm just going to run through these numbers. $2.2 trillion flowed into the green energy sector globally in 2024 alone. $2 trillion flowed into the green economy. Clean energy in the global market globally in 2024. 3.3 million new direct jobs projected across the continent. And these are jobs from solar to agri-tech, aquaculture, climate-smart agriculture, and waste leads. The ILO there is the International Labour Organization. That's actually where the data is coming from. And say their broader estimate is that 60 million, including waste and natural resources. 60% will be skilled or white collar. These are real careers. 60% of the jobs that are going to be created, will be skilled and white collar. So that is the essence why we need to start positioning ourselves. You need to start positioning yourself. I understand the fact that you may be doing something right now, and yes, that's what is putting food on your table. But the idea of this webinar is to begin to help you to begin to see the opportunities, and at the same time, going to help you to begin to see how to take the necessary steps to align yourself with the green economy. Because this is going to continue to build up until 2030 and even 2050. So the fastest people who are beginning to position themselves, they are the ones that are going to be doing what? They are going to be reaping the benefits in the nearest future. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen right now. I'll continue later, but I want to pull up something for us. If you are with me so far, just either a thumbs up or you are in the chat saying, okay, we are following you. Okay, just to be sure. Okay, yeah, that's good. Thank you. You're following me. And just to be sure that, okay, we are all together. There is an opportunity I want to show to us so that you know that I'm not actually telling you lies, but I'm going to be showing you because it is in Nigeria. It's not in the UK. When I saw this opportunity, honestly, I felt like, I wish I should be in Nigeria right now and know what I know. Because you can also be in Nigeria and not be qualified for the job. So I'm going to show you the opportunity right now. Just give me a moment. Let me just stop sharing my screen. I'll be back to this, and just so that you see what I'm talking about. Yeah, just give me a moment. All right, so let me share my screen. I've just found it. Yes. So just let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? All right. This is a job opportunity. And what's the position there? The position says Africa Program Officer. Africa Program Officer. Reports to Africa Senior Program Officer. And what's the job type there? It's a permanent full-time job. And guess what? It's remote. What's the location? Nigeria. This job, you are going to be doing it from the comfort of your home. And let me also let us know, most green jobs are actually work from home jobs. That makes it very easy. If you're just joining us, please do well to put your name in the chat and the country you're joining in from. If you're joining from wherever you're joining in from, just do well to put it in the chat. Yeah, so what I'm sharing with us is this. This is the position, and it tells you all the blah, 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 program summary and everything. And it's telling you about the company, tell you the organization. That's ETF. ETF is called the Energy Transition Fund. What do? They are in charge of making sure that different countries and nations, move into renewable technology. It's called the Transition Fund, Energy Transition. I don't want to bore you with all the talks, but it's just very simple. You're going to be helping local people in that country they are situated to migrate from fossil fuel, dependency on fossil fuel, into renewable energy technology. Guess the job. So it says area of oversight, these are the responsibilities. But let me just go to where it's going to. So let me just, before I do that, let me ask you a question. How much do you think this job is going to be paid? How much do you think the Africa Program Officer is going to be paid? Just a wide guess. Somebody should just guess in the chat.
2 million.
Is that what?
2 million.
2 million. That's interesting. This kind of jobs, anyways, you can't see my screen. Can you? Is she the only one that is not seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Is she? Can you all? Can the rest of you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just want to be sure that you're seeing my. So, Blessing, you may need to check. I don't know.
I can't see your screen.
You can't see my screen as well. Ooh, that's interesting. The rest of us. Okay, you can see my screen. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So I don't know, possibly you may need to check or click something on your device, and depends on where you're coming in from. So Bilkis has told us that the job is $2 million, $2 million, £2 million, £2 million naira. Which one, Bilkis? 2 million naira. Okay,
Naira.
Okay. Let me also give you a hint. These kind of jobs are not paid. They are not going to announce it that you're paying it monthly. It's not a monthly payment job. But although definitely they are going to be paying you monthly though, but on the advert, what they put on the advert is what they will pay you in the entire year. And some of you are going to be shouting when you actually see the real. But I want another person to actually guess. I want another person to actually make a wild guess.
70 million.
70 million. Interesting. 70 million. Interesting. Okay, let me just stop there so that because of our time. Let me go to where the money is. Can you still see my screen? Be sure that you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Now, yes. Can we see compensation? Compensation there says what? Hiring range of what? $81,553,000 to $91,677. That is what you are going to be paid in a year just for sitting in your house in Nigeria and managing this program. Mind you, these are opportunities that This is just one. So you are going to be having this opportunity if you are qualified. And these are the kind of jobs that are going to be coming up in Africa even till 2030 and even beyond. This is for a what? An Africa what? Programs officer. What are you going to be? Let me tell you what you are going to be doing so that you understand that this job is not even that one that you are going to be doing morning to night. Let me tell you what you are going to be doing. You are going to lead the co-design and delivery of ambitious philanthropic strategy to accelerate the transition away from the oil and gas in Nigeria. Primary focus, and Senegal, secondary focus. Now, Nigeria is in West Africa. Senegal is one of the countries close to the border, close to the sea, if you check the African map. So it means that you are going to be, and they're going to be paying for all your travels. They're going to be paying for anything company, anything movement. Maybe you're going to go on overseas side. You may actually travel occasionally. If you read this job description, you see how all those things are explained there. But that is the amount you are going to be paid. But the truth is, I'm not sure any of us here right now can actually say, I want to apply. You don't even have mind to even apply for the job because you are not actually qualified. So the importance of this kind of webinars and some of the things we are going to be discussing and some of the things we are going to be sharing in future webinars is how the idea is this. Let me tell us, on a global scale, there is what we call international climate finance. Climate finance is this, that the big nations, the US, the UK, the different, those big Australia, China and all those, most of the nations like that have come together and there is a pool of fund. There is a pool of money that they are contributing every year to the development of Africa with regards to climate change. I don't want to bore you about the injustice and all the likes. That's a discussion for another day. And for some of the courses I'm going to be recommending for you to take after now so that you can understand this thing. So I don't want to bug you with so many big things because I can go on and on telling you about this. But the breakdown is just simple. For the next number of years till 2050, there is commitment by the developed nations of the world to pump money continuously into Africa. And I'll say this to you for free. The green economy is driven on two things. It's a global problem, number one. And that global problem is also providing global opportunities. Only that time will not allow me. I would have shown you somewhere on this job description is also the note that you must be willing to work with people all over the world because they are going to be organizing meetings at certain times. So from the comfort of your home, you're going to be joining the meetings. So the point I'm trying to drive is, it is the problem that is making the money available. And you can be able to channel that money, part of that money, into what? Into your own pocket. I was telling somebody recently, I said, one thing I love about the green economy is that it's a global problem. But at the same time, that global problem is also putting money into someone's pocket. It's putting money into my pocket. So whatever the problem is, and Africa on records has most of the problems being challenged, most of the problems facing us because we do not adapt well to climate change problems. If the same flooding hits your community, the same one that hits a community in New York, by next week, I can so much assure you that if you go to that same spot in New York, everything has come back to normal because they have the money, they have the resources to actually turn everything overnight. But if that same kind of flood hits your own local community, wherever you are right now, people will lose their lives, people will lose their houses, people will be in IDP camps for many days before even the government even come and start even thinking about them. But there is huge climate finance being pumped right now. And the idea is to make Africa and the global south come at par with the rest of the world. So this is just one of the opportunities. I'm going to be directing you to where some of these opportunities are, as we go on. But let me just stop sharing this particular and I'll go back to my slides. Yes. Are we all together? Please just give me a thumbs up if you know you are still together and you're enjoying the session. Is it giving you value? I really want to be sure that, we're not just wasting our time in this place. Am I wasting your time? Let me know if I'm wasting your time so that maybe I can just, I can apologize. But
No. It's quite interesting.
all right. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Yes. Can we see my screen now? Can you see my screen back on the slide?
Yes, very clearly.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I said 60% of these jobs are going to be skilled or white collar, just like this one I just gave you an instance, or I just showed you a live example. And mind you, that opportunity expired, I think, 20th of May. 20th of May. So these are opportunities that are actually I'm going to be showing you the things that are very recent opportunities. So it's not like something that happened in 2022. These are live opportunities, and some of them, and you'll be surprised that maybe your neighbor now has even applied for that job. And you'll be surprised and say, guy, you're not even going out of your house, but you're making money. You will not know that what is working remotely. And these are the kind of money that is even entering into his account. There are millions of people in Nigeria today with the right skills that are accessing these global opportunities. If you have not introduced yourself in the chat, please do well to actually introduce yourself and let's know the country you're joining in from. Yeah. The next one, 16 times growth projected. So this is where we are right now. From 247 jobs in 2019, and it is going to be expected to grow to 4 million jobs by what? By 2030. So these are the opportunities that are going to be coming up, till now. There is something unique about Africa. Honestly, there is something unique about Africa. I was speaking to somebody today. I said, in the UK, yeah, where I am, by God's mercies, in the UK, yeah, for every one young person that you see, you will count 50 old people. Listen to what I'm saying, though. For every one young person in the UK, I'm talking about native United as British people. For every one young person, you would have counted up to 50. I'm telling you statistics. I'm not telling you about, I'm not talking to you about jargon. I'm telling you statistics. For every one young person you see, you are going to count 50 old people. Whereas on the flip side, in Africa, Africa has 70% of its present population, about 1.6 billion people, under the age of 30. So it means that these people are looking for what to do. These people are saying, where's the next level? What am I going to do? I'm just finishing school. What is my career? What is my future? It means that in Africa, for every one old person, what it means is that you are going to see 50 young people. I don't know if it makes sense now to you. In the UK, we have a population in the UK comprising of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. It means, and the population is about 69.9 million naira. Did I say naira? Sorry, I'm already talking about naira, not money now. 69.9 million people in the United Kingdom. When you put together Wales, Northern Ireland, England, and Scotland, that's 69.9 million. Whereas in Africa, that we have a population of 1.68 billion people, 70% of that 1.68 billion people are under the age of 30. And I'm going to be showing us also, as we're going, why Africa is positioned for the green economy. Just bear that in mind. Let's go to Nigeria. I told us we're going to be going from the world scale to Africa, and we're narrowing down to a great extent on Nigeria. 240k jobs, new green jobs, is forecasted in Nigeria alone. I'm going to be showing you where those jobs are so that you begin to look out for them. So across several industries, 337 billion is needed to deliver Nigeria's climate commitments by 2035. If you go on to 2060, you are going to have close to $1 trillion USD. I don't want to bug you too much with numbers. Another one is 27 billion annual gap is what Nigeria is presently facing. It means that what Nigeria needs to meet up with the climate demand right now is about $29.7 billion. But what it is presently being given, or what it is presently being utilizing right now, is $2.5 billion. So the gap is actually huge, and it's going to continue to actually ripple that way. Right now, $500 million is being mobilized by the NCIP. NCIP there is the National Council on Climate Change. Right now, National Council on Climate Change Initiative Program. That is actually what, Nigerian Climate Investment Platform. And that investment platform, they are saddled with the responsibility of what? Of gathering money and finance from all over the world to be able to meet the Nigerian, climate demands. I said earlier, I don't want to bore you with all the many, sophisticated information about climate change. But one of them is that in 2015, all the nations of the world, I think about 191 countries, met in Paris and had what we call the Paris Agreement. And that Paris Agreement meant that by certain milestones up until 2050, every nation of the world is going to be doing certain things that contribute to meeting the net zero goal targets. Some of you must have heard about that, but if you're not hearing it, just try to browse what is the net zero goal by 2050. So I know Nigeria is, to a great extent, let me not say it on camera because this meeting is being recorded. I don't want to say what I want to say. And in terms of where this finance may be going to some people's pocket or something, but there is an international expectation that Nigeria itself, no matter how corrupt it is, does not want to fail on. So it means that this finance must actually be implemented locally. But it will only be done if there are people that are ready and positioning themselves to be able to take those opportunities. So to cut a long story short, the world is quietly building the biggest economic transition in human history. And it needs millions of trained Africans to make it work. That's the idea. This climate change, it's affecting all of us. It is. And at the same time, it also needs us to be able to solve the problem. It needs you. It needs you to know what you should know to be able to solve the problem. And while you are solving the problem, trust me, you are going to be rewarded handsomely for it. I imagine if I'm in Nigeria right now and I know what I know right now, I'll be very, very happy because I'll just go to that job I just showed you now and just say, God, I'll just go and be fasting morning, afternoon, night and say, God, please. There's some opportunities I see right now, and even as I'm in the UK, for Africa, in Africa, there are many other ones I saw or I see. As I am right now, I'll be like, child. In fact, there's a particular opportunity right now that is for a climate, I'm still going to be pointing you to where it is, for a climate change fellowship in Bonn, Germany. They are going to be paying you close to 5,000 euros in a month. They are going to sponsor your trip from Nigeria it's for 1 year. You are going to live in Germany if you are qualified right now, I'm going to be showing you the link. You just go and click on the link, submit your application. I wish you the best. So, but part of the things I'm going to be actually telling you or be, in subsequent times is how do you position yourself for this thing? So that's what's going to be leading me into the next section. Now, I want to ask a question because, I think we've been silent for a while. Why do you think Africa is rightly positioned for the green economy? Why? If you want to say it in the chat, you can drop it. Why do you think Africa, this global economy, green economy, climate change, why do you think Africa is positioned for this opportunity? Or why do you think you, as an African, is, I think I have a part to play in this. Why? Why do you think Africa is important to what is actually happening globally? Anybody in the chat, in the comments, or you want to actually unmute your mic and actually speak? Anybody? If you think, what are you thinking in your head? Tell me something, please, before we move.
I think it's because like most of the impacts of climate change, they fall on Africa a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we're mostly affected. And you are very correct with that. Yeah, I see Favor James too in the chat saying because we are mostly affected. Yes, I think so, because Africa is the highest consumer of fossil fuel. Yes, you're correct. Most African economies are largely dependent on fossil fuel. And that's why they are ready to spend over $80,000 per year on the person that is going to take that Africa program officer job. Because your job is going to see how rural people, local people can transition from owning generator, I pass my neighbor every day, into what? Mini solar grids, micro solar grids. So it is very, very important to know that the narrative, yes, we are really, really affected. But one of the things that is very important for us to do in changing this narrative, tomorrow evening, I'm going to be on an Africa negotiator, climate change negotiator meeting forum in the evening tomorrow. And we're going to be discussing ahead of, the COP 2026 in Turkey later this year. It's a group of climate, negotiators for Africa, because we're going to be discussing on what are the barriers that stops Nigerian and African youths from entering into the global climate force. And the narrative has always been that Africa is mostly affected. But the narrative we have not sold to the world is that, yes, we are mostly affected, but we are also rightly positioned to solve the problem. Think about what I told you earlier. I told you about if you find one old person in Africa, it means that you have 50 young people. It means that while we are thinking about problem, we also have a largely youthful population that is, if they are positioned correctly, they would be able to solve these global problems. We have many tech guys coming out of Africa right now. I'm going to talk about climate tech very shortly too as well. But it is important that we know that we are not just going to play the victim or say, we are climate victims, we're environmental victims. We're not just going to sell that narrative to the world, but we need to sell the fact that we are young and we also have a part on the conversation table. So that is one thing I want you to pick. While Africa may be very much affected by the climate crisis, please know that our youthful population is a very, very important part in this global conversation. We are young and we're energetic. And it means that we can think with our heads. It means that we can provide the solutions. We can take responsibility for what is actually affecting us. And there is something called a perspective. Perspective is when you come to a conversation, there is a perspective as an African child, as a Nigerian person that you have, that somebody in the UK here does not understand. The person in the UK here does not understand that if flood hits in 2-3 days, in 1 week, the government will come and take responsibility. Imagine immediately they will fix everything and everything comes back to normal. But in Nigeria, if flood happens, it means that I will not be able to go to school. If I'm a secondary school student, I'll not be able to go to school for 2 weeks or for 1 month because I'm waiting for the flood to come down. And when it comes down, and I begin to, wait again for all the things, all the properties in my house that flood has actually soaked to dry up. It means that for 2 weeks, I'll be in IDP camp, eating what I don't know. That perspective, we need to bring it to the global conversation. If only we have the right skills and we're in the right room. I'm talking too much, right? So Africa is built for this decade because, one, we are climate vulnerable, and at the same time, we are climate rich. We have the kind of sun that we have in Africa is very, very, is Obonge sun. On Monday, I was sharing on my social media handles recently. On Monday, we had a very, very heat wave, a very strong heat wave in the UK. Temperatures were getting up to about 35 degrees Celsius, and everybody there's so much noise. Everybody there's alarm. It's going to be very hot on Monday. That's the highest temperature on a May day in 100 years in the United Kingdom. And that temperature is what we are using fan and using a hand fan to be blowing ourselves in Nigeria. We are just it's just normal. It's just normal life. It's normal. It's what you are enjoying in Nigeria. So it means that if we have solar panels in Nigeria, I pass my neighbor, we're not going to be spending so much money. So we are vulnerable at the same time, the kind of resources we have. And also, do you know that Africa is also home to one of the largest reserves of natural resources in the world? The other day you talked about I've forgotten which country that France was, really, because France has been extracting so much mineral resources from that country. And the day the country sat up and said, no, we are no longer doing it again, they wanted to destroy the entire country because they've been getting so much from Africa. So we're not just going to be say that we are vulnerable. We are also rich in resources. Can I also tell us that many of the global supply chain for these solar PVs that you are seeing, the lithium, the batteries, the EV cars, many of those resources are tapped in Africa and shipped abroad. So it means that we are rich in the solutions that actually come out from climate change. Also, I've talked about the youth dividend. We are largely a youthful population. It means that we are sure that any investment that is made on us right now, think about yourself. Maybe the average age on this call right now is about maybe 25. In fact, I Googled and I researched that the average African age is is it Nigeria or Africa? One of them, either Nigeria or Africa. The average age in Nigeria right now is 19.9 years. That's a statistic. Go and Google it. The average age in Nigeria is 19.9 years, whereas the average age in the UK is 40 years of age. So the average is the median age in the UK is 40. So it means that in Africa or in Nigeria right now, if you do an investment right now, it means that you are sure of the next 40 years. Add 40 years to 19.9, that's about 60. The person is still alive. But if you add 40 years to somebody here in the UK, the person is bedridden. So we have a largely youthful population. But the problem is we have a skills mismatch. Nigerian graduates have theoretical knowledge but lack practical industry skills. The green economy needs trained workers, not just any workers. Whoever skills up first wins. So after this call now, assuming that you finish this call now, and the next thing you say, Chai, I think I need to take some steps. I think I need to enroll myself for some kind of trainings, not big money training. I'm talking about, I'm going to be sharing some of the practical things with you, don't worry. But I need to take action. I need to do some things right now. And you are positioning yourself. When these opportunities begins to open maybe for 2027 or 2028, by that 2027, you have built enough proof for you to get those jobs. Just give yourself that kind of time. So if you are still listening to me right now, the next thing you should be to begin to think, how do I position myself? How do I position myself for this economy? All right. This is Nigeria now, specifically. Policy, there are so many things. Climate Change Act, the Energy Transition Plan, all these things, just Google them. I'm going to be sharing some of these slides with you after the webinar, definitely. But just try, sit back after this seminar, after this webinar, and just try to Google some of these things on this slide. You'll find out that they're actually true. The Energy Transition Plan, the NCIP launch, and what they are mobilizing, climate tech funding, ESG IRAs at banks, and that one is another gold mine right now. DBN accreditation, Development Bank of Nigeria. And like I said earlier, it is very, very important to know that there is a global legislation on countries to do some of these things. And either they like it or not, either there's corruption or there's no corruption, they must implement some of these things to be able to talk when they go to the global United Nations meeting. There's one that is actually going to come up in, I think, October something or November. It's called the COP, the Conference of Parties. COP 31 in Turkey, Atanlaya. Atanlaya, that's the name of the place that's going to happen. So Nigeria needs to bring itself on that global scale. And yes, they may divert some of the funds, but to a great extent, these things are going to be implemented. And these are opportunities for you and I to begin to position ourselves, because they are going to need people to be running some of these things. You're going to need program officers. You're going to need tech people. You're going to need a lot of people, a lot of skills. Now, this is about the most important part of this webinar, is the 3S of the green career entry economy. The green economy, which are the sectors, the skills, and the steps. And after this webinar as well, I'm going to be giving you a detailed breakdown of these things we have discussed. And if I were you, I will sit down. I have actually researched carefully on them, and I've put them together, fact-checked many of them. So if I were you, I would sit down after this webinar to look at the materials I'm going to be sharing with you in your inbox, in your email. Look out for them. And I'm going to be making, some decisions about them. So talking about where the jobs are, the ones we know, when we talk about green economy, many of you talk about what? Renewable, solar. Yes, I'm very sure most of us here have seen solar before. It's very, very much, accessible and available. But that is just one. And what are the kind of roles that actually exist in that place? Solar engineers, people who can actually put together a plan for solar installation. This is engineering now. You're going to be talking about how to manage the demand size optimization. There is a demand. This is the amount of maybe kilowatt of energy that we need to be generating. How do we match the number of solar panels? What are the technologies involved? All those people are the ones that are called solar engineers. So they are between saying we are matching the demand. For example, you own a church, and in that church you run services every day. What is the output of energy you want to be generating to meet your demand? A solar engineer is going to sit down and say, okay, this is actually what the demand. How do we combine solar panels? What are the resources? What are the technologies we are going to put together to be able to meet this demand for the next 30 years? So it's a whole lot of work. Energy auditors, project developers, climate finance and ESGs. This is one. Do you know that there are laws? Like I said earlier, these things are very much binding on nations across the globe. By 2028, let me give you a cheat now. By 2028, every bank, Access Bank, UBA, GT Bank, name all the banks in Nigeria that you have, they are mandated to begin to do what we call ESG reporting. They are mandated. It's by force. If they don't do it, there will be sanctions on them. And can I tell you the surprising thing? Many of these banks, as of today, do not have ESG officers. Right now, their goal for 2026 and 2027 is begin to see how they begin to carve out those departments in their banks. For some of them, the ones that actually are ahead are already having it, but maybe at headquarter branches, trying to do. But very soon, it's going to be mandated for them to employ ESG officers, people that are going to be collating their reports to be sure that they are climate and sustainability compliant. And they are going to be hiring people to actually do those jobs, because it's not an easy job. So imagine you now begin to position. I'm giving you this information now that will start something January 1st, 2028. So you start about 18 months, 1 year and 6 months. You're going to pick trainings. You're going to put yourself out there. You're going to do the things you need to do. and position yourself for these jobs. So that by 2028, when these things legislation are sanctioning, or as in they are really, really in place, your CV is going to be reporting that you have begun to do this since May 2026. And by that time, they'll say, yes, okay, she has quite some good experiences. That is the essence of this webinar. Because as you are seeing them now, you are knowing the right places to go and start knocking. You are knowing the right website so that you don't be spending your time uselessly. You are knowing the website now to go and start looking. I'm going to be sharing some of those things with you. You know the website now to go, and truthfully, I told us earlier, after this webinar, there are some things you are going to be seeing differently, because you are going to be seeing opportunities where ordinary people, maybe in your environment or in your locality, are not seeing. So when you see that Access Bank that is trying to open a branch near your house, the next thing you are going to be thinking about the child. So these people now, as they are opening branch now, they may really need an ESG officer in this bank. How do I begin to position? I mean be, we do native son of the soil or all the kind of things in Nigeria, allocation, all kind of thing. They may even be looking for a community person that has such knowledge, and it's okay. This one is community slot, and maybe you don't have the certification, or you don't have the understanding. You say climate change. You say, what's climate change? Because you don't even know. So it is very important. Carbon markets. This is another very big one. Just last 2 weeks, somebody was telling me that Kenya has launched. Kenya came to the globe and launched its first African carbon market. Nigeria is actually preparing to actually do its own very soon. Carbon market says that there are some emissions that you cannot successfully account for. And Africa, because of the rich vegetation that we have, there is something called carbon market where you can trade credit. Some of this is I'm saying are actually jargon for some of you. You don't understand it, and which is fine, but I'm very sure that after now, you will begin to understand some of these things. So Kenya now is licensed to sell carbon credits. It means that as an organization, I cannot, account, or I cannot take out some of my emissions. There are some that I cannot take out. And what do I do by carbon credits? I buy carbon credits from Kenya markets and say, okay, this is the value of my credit. I have 150 credits. I am using this 150 credit to offset. Let me not give you that too much details. Circular economy and waste. Last 2 years, I wanted to do a project in Nigeria about waste, plastics. Many of us, do you know that we live in communities where if you go and check your drainage system, the canal that is near your environment or near your house, you see that it's plastics that are full everywhere. You know what? Do you know that plastics can actually give you money? Do you know? Do you know that there are companies that, if, for example, you're after this corner, you feel like, I think I can do something in my environment. You know that pollution is the problem in your community. Why not organize some group of young graduates or even secondary school leavers together and say we are going to do operation, just pitch the idea together. That's some of the support I'm also going to be offering, after this in terms of the community. I'm going to talk about that later. But these are very, very important opportunities for you to contribute. And trust me, I've said it before, in this economy, if you can solve a problem, see, there are people that they have money. They just want to fund what you are doing. There are some people that have money. International organizations, Bill Gates Foundation, all these projects, just have an idea. Put it together, package it very well. There are people that are ready to fund that thing. Climate tech and innovations. There is something called sustainability reporting. They use AI to do it now. Reports, ESGs, different things coming together, climate data. This is an opportunity that but you cannot analyze the data you do not understand the background of. That's where the problem is. If I give you a climate data now, can you analyze it for me? Even though you are doing data analysis. You can't, because you don't understand the basic knowledge of it. These are jobs that are actually going to also be coming up. Because these banks I'm talking about, they're also going to need some of these platforms to be able to analyze their data. Green building. This one, if you're into construction, all these civil engineers, this is another important, because right now, 70% of the global emissions occurring are actually from infrastructures. So right now, there are legislations, and it's also entering Nigeria very soon. Some of all these big companies that are in Nigeria, before they can have license to build a facility or build something, they need to pass some of these sustainability certifications. Do you know that they need engineers? Do you know that they need people, professionals, who can also help them access those things? These are opportunities. And there's some of these certifications, if you have them, you are going to be consulting for companies all over the world, because some of all those big brands, they also want to establish their companies in Nigeria. They want to also establish their companies in Africa. And guess what? Most of them are largely remote. You're going to be having teams meetings after meetings after meetings, submitting reports, doing this, and they are very seamless from the comfort of your home. Let me continue. Who is actually hiring right now in Nigeria? These are fact checks and data that you can actually go back with. You may not need to screenshot or do anything. Don't worry. I'm going to send you the slides. So you may need to just sit down. These are organizations. These are the roles that you can look out for. And let me give you a cheat code. I may not say this again, but when you're looking for roles, go to the roles that you have seen and write down the requirements. Those are the things that you need to begin to prepare yourself for. The kind of requirement they say this role is what we need are the kind of things that you should be working towards. That's how to get a job. Let me continue, because I still want us to take questions and answers. Now, the skills. Everyone needs these skills. Number one, the foundation. You need to understand what climate change is, because that is the foundation of the problem. What is going to give you your job as a problem is trying to solve. And if you don't understand that problem, they can even call you for interview, even if it's your uncle that is in that company. Once they call you for the interview for this kind of role, and you don't even understand what it is about, you will just go and fumble in that place. So the very first thing is that you need to be climate literate. You need to understand the basic concepts of climate change. You need to be aware. There are so many terminologies. When I was starting out in my career earlier, my boss then told me and said, Femi, now you've joined this organization. In a couple of months, your language is going to change, because there are terminologies. There are languages that we speak in each and every industry. So it is very, very important that you take some of these courses. And guess what? Some of this, I'm going to be pointing you in the direction of some of those courses, so you can also begin from there. I'm really prepared for this session. As long as you are ready to actually do the work, you are interested, I am personally here for you to help you get started on this. Sustainability frameworks, SDGs, GRI, these actually are acronyms. FIRS or IFRS. Data literacy, communications, these are things that you need to pick up. Then the next thing, you're asking yourself, many of you right now may be in different fields, maybe different careers, or you read one thing in school, or you wanted to read one thing in school. It happens to us in Nigeria. I wanted to read this. They did not give me this. They now gave me this, but I still went to school. This is very, very important for you, because you can actually start from where you are. Do you know that the climate sector, the green economy, needs professionals from different backgrounds? And truly, that's actually what it is. So irrespective of where you're coming from, either biochemistry or microbiology or plant science and biotechnology, some of those courses, please you can actually start from where you are. And the support we're going to be giving to you is this. We're going to be mapping you to certification pathways that helps you build from where you are right now to where you're supposed to be. And one of the other ways, apart from the certifications you're also going to be getting in terms of the knowledge, the certifications are to give you knowledge. Now, let me just say this. When I give you a course, now when I tell you, okay, this course, you can do this, it is good. Get the certification, get the ed knowledge. The next thing that gets you hireable in this field is or are the projects that you handle. And I can tell us, Africa is very, very rich with problems, climate problems. Just pick one at the back of your house and say, I want to solve. I gave us an example of plastics just a few minutes ago. Just decide and say, in this my streets, I want to just have a project, me and 2 or 3 other persons. We're going to be collecting plastics. And go online. What are the plastic recycling companies around me? Google will give you suggestions. If you can walk there, you walk there and go and meet one of them and say, please, I noticed that in my street, they used to pack plastic. Plastic is worrying us. I noticed that you are recycling plastic. Can I be carrying these plastics and come and be giving you? Do you know they can even be paying you for it? Because it's the raw material they're using for their own production. If it is water that is disturbing you in your environment, it's water, maybe flood or whatever. Do you know that you can carry out a project in your environment and say, I noticed that in 2021, flood, we went on flood holiday. 2022, the same thing. All these are recurring problems. You just say, okay, me and some other person want to make sure that before the flood, before the rainy season, or before the July, September rainy, that very heavy rainfall period, we want to just carry out the project and clean all the drainages, all those places that plastics or all those things have hooked the place that is not allowing water to flow freely. Do you know that you can do what? You can just clean out everywhere. What will happen is that when the rains come, it is that the floods, the water will have places to pass to. While you are doing all those things, you are taking pictures, you are having proof. Do that for 1 year, do that for 2 years. You're having banks of proof. When you are now saying, I've been running this program and it has been solving so problem in my local community, somebody is ready to actually answer. So yes, yeah, come. Let's talk about the next thing. I'm giving us tips. Now, let me give us a very practical example. I'll just say this here. When I came into the United Kingdom, all my experiences in Nigeria didn't even matter. I've been working in Nigeria for about 5 years, but all my experiences didn't matter. Guess what I did? I began to look for organizations that were in line with the job I am doing today. And I began to pitch to them. I began to do some volunteering initiatives. We'll go to communities, we'll go to celebrities, we'll carry out projects, little things. Those were the things I put in my... And trust me, these things do not even really need to pay you. You just need to have that credence, that credibility on your CV. It gives you a chance. These are the skills you need to build. And in the process of doing this, you are going to be developing yourself. So there are several things. If we work together, or if you follow up after this now, I can give you several project ideas. There are 1,000,001 project ideas, climate project ideas, sustainability project ideas that you can do. For example, you may already be working in this place. Maybe you are working in which other sector? Maybe you are doing finance, or you are doing maybe someone should give me a career line that you're already in, and you're thinking of how to come into sustainability or climate change. Somebody in the chat, anybody, maybe what you're already doing, and you feel like, oh, you want to begin to look into sustainability. I want to just give a practical example from where you are and how you can come into sustainability and climate. Anybody in the chat? Anybody? Just tell me, like, this is what you are doing. Yes, for you.
Surveyor.
Surveyor, yes, surveyor. There are many career pathways for surveyors to enter into the climate space. Surveyor talks about building land. Do you know
And
that
also teaching.
teaching? Yes, okay, teaching. I'll come to teaching. Someone talked about surveyor. Do you know, as a surveyor, you can actually carry out a risk assessment. For example, you are going to go and survey a land, and there's somebody who's going to buy the property. Do you know, part of the additional services you can be doing is to say, okay, what is the flood risk map for this particular land? It's a consulting that they can be paying you for. Okay, I'm giving this client I'm surveying this land for him. But before you get the paper document, I'm also going to do, it may even be, you may start on a free base. I'm going to give you the risk of flood risk assessment for this your land, so that you know and prepare yourself, so that in case you are going to deliver so you are going to develop the building or the land or that land tomorrow, you will know that there are certain angles on that land that you cannot, because the flood direction is going to be coming in that aspect. These are contests you can actually consult on. That's one. Surveyor talks about buildings and construction environment. There are also certifications. I talked about certificates that when commercial buildings want to be erected, there are certifications that they must pass through before they are given license to build those things. You can actually go in that line. There are certifications that you can actually take. And some of them are very free. But as you are gaining experience, you'll be developing capacity to do what? To actually get into those courses and even pay for them. Also, another person mentioned teacher. Yes, important. As a teacher, what are you doing? You're sharing knowledge. Do you know that if you immerse yourself in climate education, climate knowledge, you take some courses that beefs up, your knowledge about global occurrences. As a teacher, some of us are teaching geography, we are teaching civic education, we are teaching some of these courses. Some of them have climate-related concepts. You can start a sustainability club in your school for students. All this initiative, once you bring it to the management, they'll be like, oh, this person, before you know it. And without some of all these things, you're actually taking proofs of them. You have students you're teaching because you have been exposed to the knowledge. The next thing is that you're putting it on social media, you're putting it here, you're putting it there. You are building credence for yourself. The next thing you come out and say, okay, I've been managing this program and we have been enlightening students on sustainability and climate knowledge for the past 2-3 years. Somebody looks at it and say, okay, this is a credible person. We can do some educational partnership or something with you. Before you know it, you're a full-time, you have even pivoted from general teaching, biology, maths, chemistry, everything. You have now pivoted because they see you as an expert in that field. Oh, in this school I was in, I successfully opened a sustainable society for students. While I was doing my master's in the United Kingdom, there was no sustainable society on campus in the university. So I went to the student union. I said, okay, I want to start the sustainable society. What do I need to start? They gave me the conditions, the requirements. I said, okay, this is it. I said, okay, no problem. Next week, I'm coming with my list. And I gave them. That's how I started. That opportunity gave me many other platforms. I can tell you till today. Because people just want to be sure that you are doing something. And that's the very best way of getting into a new field, from wherever you are. So it is very, very important for teaching sustainability such climate communications or education. Yeah, somebody has mentioned it in the chat. So from wherever you are right now, another one I'm going to mention. Do you know that some of us are already in companies right now? And depending on the industry that you are in, do you know that they are all already, there is something called, you see that IFRS, S1 and S2, TCFD. Those things are called International Financial Reporting Standards. TCFD means taxonomy for climate-related financial disclosures. All those laws are legislating organizations, either in the textile industry, in the oil and gas, in the different organizations or sectors. They are mandating them to begin to produce these reports. So if maybe, for example, I'm a technical engineer in my organization right now, what will I begin to do? Maybe I begin to tend towards that side. I ask our sustainability manager if it's a big company and say, Oga, can I be helping you to be doing some of these things you are doing? You know what you're actually driving towards. You just want to be understanding what they are doing. You may even be the one that take over that job in the future if you actually know what you are doing. Because I'll tell us for free. Very soon, the next years we are entering, as we are approaching 2050, there are sanctions that are coming from international courts on nations, and they are tackling it both with country and with industry. So as a businessman said, even Dangote right now, there are some legislations that for him to continue to operate, there are some records and statements and accounts and reports that Dangote refinery as it were must comply to. And you may think it's just is Dangote big up. They are also bringing it down in phases to smaller organizations. So if you are thinking of opening a business in Nigeria in the next 2 years, very soon as we are approaching 2050, there are legislation that's coming on that business that are related to climate and sustainability disclosures. It means that sustainability reporting officers, even in Nigeria, there's this girl in Nigeria, there's one girl, one of my contacts on LinkedIn. That's actually what she's into. One farm produce company, and she's a consultant in it. So these are opportunities that you can begin to position yourself for. How do you go about them? Your next 90 days, this is just the map, if you are willing to actually go with it. And I'm ready to actually support you, honestly. Take a foundational climate course. There is one I am putting together, or I'm already working with some partners to actually put together for people who are just wanting to just understand. I'm going to announce that, or maybe share that with you in your email or in your inbox, as those plans become, very finalized. Some with Nigerian organizations. Actually, I'm talking to some partners actually in Nigeria at the moment, but it has not actually become very confirmed yet. Another thing again, I will also be giving you access to my LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, please follow me on LinkedIn, or just do an audit of my page on LinkedIn. For the past 1 month or 2 months, I've been sharing opportunities, reposting opportunities for trainings, for courses, for fellowships that you may need. And these are very, very, very easy to take courses, even from your phone. All those times you spend on Instagram, on Facebook, doing nothing. Just spend time and be learning some of these things. You are helping yourself, to understand what's happening. So take other online free courses. You don't even need to go and be paying anybody to even do it now. Just start with the free courses. You would understand. And what happens is that you are going to begin to take action based on what you know. There are some problems you are going to be seeing. You're going to see, okay, this is what this Femi guy is talking about. Because you are going to be seeing the opportunities firsthand. Follow 10 African climate voices on LinkedIn. How many of us have LinkedIn profiles on this point, on this call? I have a LinkedIn profile. Just react. Okay. You can begin to follow. There are many African climate voices. How many of us don't have? If you don't have, yes, please go and open. Go and open one. Go and open one. That's where the global job market is. The present job I'm doing in the UK today, let me tell you the truth. I didn't see it anywhere. Nobody told me how to do it. I was on LinkedIn. I was just on LinkedIn one day and I saw the job and I said, this job looks like what I actually can do. And I went on it and I applied. 2 weeks after, my team lead right now came and posted 2 weeks after that job advert and said, this position has now been filled. We are no longer accepting applications. And guess who they gave the job? It was me that they gave the job. So that is where it actually happens. There are so many opportunities that you will not even see anywhere else apart from LinkedIn. I'm going to be bringing an ESG consultant next month's webinar. She's in Nigeria right now. She's working with the former Minister of Finance in Nigeria. She's working on climate finance. She's an ESG consultant. I met her in the UK here. And she's going to come to us to talk to us on how to gain career entry pathways into finance and ESG in Nigerian space. That lady, she's top on LinkedIn. If you check her profile. So, but this is very, very important. Follow people that you want to. There's one thing I read on LinkedIn recently. They said, follow people that look like your future. Did you hear what I said? Follow people that do what? This is where I want to be. Start following, start stalking them. And these days, things are very rarely hidden. Go to LinkedIn, follow people. So create one action plan. If you don't have a LinkedIn plan profile right now, go on LinkedIn, open one, and see how it is, how it turns out. Because of our time is actually running out. Engage, join 2 communities, attend free webinars, or decide to just attend 1 free webinar a month, just like these ones. And trust me, this knowledge, there are people that are willing to share it with you free of charge. There are many. Me right now, my calendar is really booked and filled up. Why? Not because I am just seeking every opportunity to learn. My calendar is really booked. The other day, my wife was just looking at me in the room because I was on 3 different webinars at the same time. What was I doing? I was learning. And it's in climate space. One was by the United Nations. Those different. One is African one. This one, that one. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be on an African webinar on climate negotiators. And it's in preparation for COP31 this year, later this year, where we are bringing African voices just come and discuss on what will be the representative, because Africa needs to present something at on the global scene. So they need Africans to actually come together and discuss some of these things on the agenda for that meeting. So involve yourself. Follow people who look like the future that you think that you desire. Do 3 informational interviews on LinkedIn. What's informational interview? Informational interview is, oh, I saw your profile. Please, can I have a chat with you? How did you land your first role? It could be as simple as that. Some may ghost you. Some may actually give you the time. There was one woman I did that for. The woman is a very big woman in the United Kingdom. And I just sent her a LinkedIn message. I said, can I just have a chat with you? This, that. I was just pouring out my heart. And she actually gave me time. She gave me 30 minutes of her time. It is very priceless. She linked me up to some of the connections I have in the United Kingdom till today. And guess what? As I told her that this person, as I told them, the persons, that this person actually gave me your contact, they say, really. You just never can tell. Connections opens doors. So do informational interview. Look at somebody's profile and say, oh, can I just have a chat with you? Do you have 15 minutes to spare? Do you have 30 minutes? It doesn't have to be very long. And mind you, it's not when you now come and share or open up all your village problem. It's not about that. But it is, you have to be very direct. You have to be professional with such people. You have to be very forward thinking. It's not that time you're not going to say, in my community, they don't want to hear those kind of things. They just want to be sure that, okay, you know what you're doing. Oh, I have this idea. How can I get started? Some of them may even have a free course that you can just take, and boom, everything changes. So it is very important. Volunteer. Volunteer in a climate-related NGO, a community initiative. These are the things that build credence for you. Unfortunately, in Africa, we don't like doing free things. But trust me, free things gave me my first job in the United Kingdom. I was doing free things. I remember one of those free engagements I was doing, and one of my classmates looked at me and said, young man, hey, they're not even paying you one pound. They're not even paying you £1. I said, yes, I don't worry. He said, I bet just people are very foolish. They're very stingy people. In my mind, I said, okay. I said, yeah, I don't mind them. Don't mind those people. These people, they're very, very wicked people. Don't mind them. But me, in my mind, I say, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. If you like. And trust me, it was that experience that gave me my first job. So volunteer. If after this webinar, now you, in your environment, you just say, what are some of the sustainability organizations? Just try. Check it out. You may have some suggestions. And it just may actually bring you into the right opportunity. Build and position yourself. Carry out one portfolio project in your environment. I've given us ideas on this call or on this meeting. Either it's flawed, you want to tackle, either it's waste, or just carry out even if it's a feasibility studies. You say in my environment or in Bagada area of Lagos, this is actually what is the problem. And because this is the problem, these are the things I actually have as an idea to solve this problem. you're talking to people, you're building communication skills for the ideas that are in your head. You are actually learning and growing on the job. Because when you actually get hired, you're not actually going to do anything different. It's communications, it's talking to people, trying to help people buy into your idea that you're going to be doing. But you're going to be developing it from ground up. And that's what gives you credence. N1 credential this month. Okay, this is already 29th. Give yourself a target. By the end of June, I want to earn this certification. I want to earn this. I want to earn that. Please, like I said, some of the materials I'm going to be sharing after this webinar are going to contain some courses that you can begin to work on. Also, go to my LinkedIn profile. I'm going to share that with you later at the end of the slide. Go to my LinkedIn profile and do what? And engage. Just audit the profile from start. Be checking some of the opportunities that are there. Please click on those links. Those links are very live links. They are live links. Some of them, the opportunities are still, present. Try it out. Check out the requirements. Even if you do not meet the requirement, what happens is that you have known the kind of requirements that gives you that kind of opportunity. So what happens to you is that you are now beginning to have a mental picture of what area you should begin to build. Rewrite your LinkedIn headline and about in climate language. Apply to 5 entry roles. That's possibly towards maybe the next 3 months, because you need to build, this thing. But most importantly, please start from where you are. Start from where you are. Look for that problem. Maybe as an exercise on this call, as we're rounding up, please think about one problem in your your streets or your local government, and just think about it that is climate related, and think about a way of solving it. That may just be your Kickstarter in this field. Very quickly, I don't think I have time for this because I don't take questions and answers, and our time is really fast spent. 5 career myths. Some people say some of these things. And number 1, I am not a scientist, so I cannot enter this space. Is that true? It's not true. This green space does not only need scientists. The green economy needs marketers, lawyers, accountants, communicators, designers, and project managers, not just scientists. So you don't have to be a climate science person. You don't have to be. I began my career in the oil and gas. And when I go for interviews, this is the way I used to catch them. I tell them, I say, I started on the very dark side. I was a polluter when I started. But right now, I am in the green economy. That's what I tell them. I tell them I started polluting the environment. But right now, I am pro-climate. And anybody that sees you and talks like that, say, yes, this guy, I think he knows what he's doing. So I tell them I am bringing my perspective from what? From the oil and gas. That's a pitch point. So the next myth, it only pays in NGOs money, not real careers. My brother and sister, this green economy is really, really paying people. And it has competitive rates. And right now, it doesn't matter where you are. If you have the right skills in Nigeria right now, you see that it's 1,000, maybe you should have been collecting it, and you even be doing shakara for me. It's very important. It's very possible. All right. I have to relocate to make it in this field. It's not true. I just told you about this opportunity in Nigeria. They said it must be remote in Nigeria. I was almost begging the recruiter to say, please, I'm not living in Nigeria. Please, can I also still apply for this job? Because those kind of jobs are location dependent. So it's very important. You do not have to relocate. You just have to have the right skills. And if you do, trust me, you may land one of these jobs. It's a future thing. It's too early to start. $500 million is being mobilized right now, this year in 2026. For what? For the Nigerian climate investment platform. So it's already something that's already happening. And I'm telling you, till 2030. So if you know that by 2030, you want to actually have left where you are, this is the best time to begin to reposition yourself by doing some of the things I've told you about. All right. Are there any questions? that I've not answered or questions are still on your mind, let me just quickly. Okay, there is something called the Climate Change Certification Program that the Climate Professional Project is actually putting together. And it's going to be very foundational from level 1. Level 2 is going to be very practical. We're going to be helping you to support local projects in your community. And I'm going to be giving you that consultation, that, expertise. It's going to be, really, really, I think maybe free or a little stipend, but I'm working with some organized partners right now to get those discussions ongoing. Once we finalize on that, you may actually have some of the details. And level 3 is we're going to help you to now become, certified. We're going to help you to help you become a voice. So if you go through level 1, level 2, level 3, according to what we are designing, by level 3, you are going to be able to say, okay, this is what I have done, and this is why you should hire me. Because sometimes when you are begging for jobs, you are saying, please hire me now, I can do this. But you are not saying I can do this. You're saying, see what I have done through so and so. And with so and so, this is what I can still do for you. And the person is seeing you as valuable. But those details are going to be finalized, in the coming days. And I'll definitely, if you're interested, I'll do well to actually. But honestly, you must not wait till that is finalized. I'm not going to be selfish in telling you this. Please, there are many courses in the resources I'm also going to be sharing with you after this call. Please make sure that you sit down. Just take a time and say, okay, 2 hours, 3 hours. I want to really go through what this guy is talking about. It may really help you. Now, we're getting to the end. Think of where you will be in the next 10 years if you do not utilize the knowledge you've gained in today's session. Somebody told me something recently, and I was almost like, God. What the person told me was this: your decision is greater than prophecy. I took days and I was just contemplating on that. Your decision. He told me a story and said 2 people, Africans were very, how will I put it? We're very kind of, we like prophets and stuff like that. Two guys went to meet a prophet. One of them, the prophet told him and said, you are going to be very, very poor in this life. Nothing is going to work out. Nothing. Number 2, the second person said, you are going to be the king of this village. I say, wow. So guess what happened? The 2 of them went away. The person that they told is going to become the king of the village, what did he do? He went like this and said, I'm the king, I'm the king, I'm the king. He didn't do anything. He was just there. This other person that they told that is going to be a poor person. As he was going, he was very dejected. He said, how can they say me I'll be poor? So he was just walking on the road. It's just a story to illustrate the point I'm trying to drive, that your decision is greater than prophecy. Then I told him and said, okay, just look at the field. It was a very big land. He just entered into the land and said, since they say I will be poor, no wahala now. Let me be poor. But at least, even if I'm poor, I don't have money, at least I will have food to eat. So he entered into the land and began to farm. He farmed the entire land. Guess what happened? This is a fairy tale. Guess what happened? Famine now broke out. All the other villagers didn't have food. Nobody, everybody. They now came to him and said, see, it's only you that have food in this place. Please now, can you give us food? You know what Joseph in the Bible did for some of us that are Christians? And I told them and said, okay, don't worry. That's how. At the end, he told them and said, don't worry. If for me to continue giving you food, I must be your king. That was how the person that they said was going to be poor did what? He became what? He became the king. The person that they told was going to become the king was now a poor person. He was begging for food. The long story short, your decision, whatever you make out of this session, whatever you make out of this information that you have, is going to actually determine maybe what the future. And I'm not a prophet of doom, but what may actually happen that you may actually be in where you are. Maybe I'm not saying you're not going to do well, but you may actually see some other opportunities in the future, and I'll be like, oh, I wish I had begun to build something in this space when I knew about it. So it's very, very important that you take advantage of this information. These are some of the social media handles that for Climate Professional that you need to. This is the one on the far right. I think, yeah, fire right. Maybe is the LinkedIn. That's my LinkedIn profile. If you want to scan and just send a connection request, if you're on LinkedIn and we are not already we're not already LinkedIn connections, then the other one is TikTok. I do climate education on TikTok because one of the things I told you earlier about climate profession, we are first an education. We want to make people more aware of the climate change problem, and not just aware. We also want you to begin to see that this awareness can actually put food on your table if you develop the right skills. Because I said earlier when we were starting, where the problem is where the money is flowing. Now the world know that Africa is underdeveloped and they are struggling with climate change. So there's a lot of money being pumped into Africa. That's where the money is going to, because there's a problem there. So if you position yourself, even from where you are right now, what happens is that you're also going to attract finance to actually come in your direction because you are giving value. Then there's also the Instagram handle there. Very quickly, sorry to waste your time, or sorry to listen. Next month's webinar is going to be focusing on climate finance careers in Africa and the global south. I'm going to be bringing my friend. She's a very, very great lady. She's a Chevening scholar, and she has consulted in the UK, and now she's back in Nigeria. Like I said earlier, she's working with the former Minister of Finance in Nigeria, not the one that handed over to this present one. Talking about, I think in Buhari's leadership. So she is actually consulting at the Home Affairs of recently, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I heard that she was actually advertising for a role in a finance team or something like that. So she's going to be speaking to, she's a very young lady. She's not even a very old person. She's a very young lady, but she's commanding respect in that niche. So we're going to be having her come to speak to us next month's webinar series. And that is going to be on June 26th. Yeah, June 26th. Same time as we have right now. And she's going to be giving us everything that we need to know. So in case maybe you're doing accounting, how can you from accounting develop interest into ESG and begin to do some of these things? Or even if you're not in accounting right now, or you're not in, just come and learn. Or at the same time, you want to go to, it may also be a channel based on your experiences. And it may be something for you worth considering. Lastly, it's right time for you to position yourself. Lastly, my last offering to us on this call is that we are building a community, and that community, I'm going to be giving myself to that community, because I'd expect that after now, you're going to go back with the information you've heard about already, and the slides, the documents you're going to be, the playbook you're going to be receiving. You may have some questions, you may have some things you want to ask about. This is the right community to actually engage me on. So that's the QR code for the WhatsApp community. Please, you can scan it and join the WhatsApp community. It shows that you are serious and you are ready to take the next action. So on that community, you're going to be coming to say, okay, this is what I'm actually interested in. How can I tailor myself to fit such opportunities? I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense to anybody? Is that something that's going to be beneficial for anybody here? So it is something that if you join or if you're interested in, we're not going to be speaking one-to-one. We can actually organize, one-to-one sessions to say, okay, this is actually where I am right now. What are the things I need to do? Because it's not about having information. It's about taking action on the information. Or possibly you're considering some initiatives in your local community. Maybe I've inspired you today and say, this particular problem, I'll go and solve it. How do you begin to build yourself to solve those problems? I can actually offer you that one-to-one, interaction to give you some guidance. And it is very, very important that you maximize this, because I really don't know what else again to actually give. But I think from that community we can build, and trust me, the next 1-2 years you're going to be finding yourself with mind-blowing opportunities. Please go to my LinkedIn. There are many opportunities that I've shared in my LinkedIn profile that you want to check and be sure that you know that they are happening. Because I said something recently, that you do not know that something is going on does not mean they are not going on. It's just that you are not aware. And what you don't know, they say, there's a Yoruba, they just say, what you don't know is greater than you. So now that you know, or now that you want to know, please engage. There's one I saw in Germany. I wish I could actually go. So if I was a youth in Nigeria right now, my brother, and I have the right skills, the right proof, the right evidence, I'll go and apply to that fellowship. For 1 full year, I'll be in Germany. They'll be feeding me and they'll be paying me hugely and handsomely. Why? Because they are looking for young African leaders to actually take up these opportunities. All right. So I think I'll leave us there tonight. And sorry for us to have exceeded our time. I really, really pray and hope that I didn't waste your time. But I'm going to be launching a quick poll. You are going to see a poll come up on your screen right now. Please just react to the poll so that it can help us to be sure that we didn't waste your time in this webinar. So are we ready for the poll? I want to see a reaction if we are ready for the poll. Yeah, okay. So I'll be launching the poll right now. Please just do well to react to or to respond to the poll. So confirm that you can see something on your screen right now, a pop-up. On a scale of 1 to 5, how helpful was this webinar for you? How helpful was this webinar on a scale of 1 to 5? How helpful was this webinar? Number 1, meaning that, I beg, you just talk rubbish today. Nothing, I'm not in as in this. Yeah, I just wasted my 1 hour or my 1.5 hours. So please respond to the poll if you're still around. Please respond to the poll. Now I'm going to launch the next one. Please, more responses on the poll. I'm just seeing only 4 persons here, and I think we're more than that here. Can you see a poll on your screen, either on your phone or on your computer? Can you see the poll?
I'm not seeing it.
You can't see the poll from your end. Oh, really?
I cannot see it from my end.
You can also see it from your end. Wow. For some of us that saw, what was different? How come you saw it and some other persons didn't see it?
It's at the top
You can
right.
check the
Can you
two.
tell this again? I think the thing was fast before we could
There is
tap
the
on it.
two.
My God.
There is the tool section. You could just go to the tool section and then you will see polls.
Okay.
It's purple icon.
Yeah, just click meeting tools. Are you seeing it now? You see something like poll.
Yes, I can now.
Okay. So please
Yes,
do that if you have not voted. You still haven't seen anything. There is a
Yes.
is it purple? I don't know what the blue is, but something related to blue. It's called meeting tools on your phone. You should be able to see. Okay. So can I launch the second poll, the last and final one? Or you can also drop it in the chat in case you didn't get the poll. On a scale of 1 to 5, how helpful was this web? It was very helpful. It means that just give a 5. It's not helpful at all. I just wasted my time. Just put 1 there. Anyone, just be sincere with what your answers are. The next one I'm going to launch right now. Just ready for it. Are we ready? All right. The next one. Will you be taking some steps after this webinar? Yes, I will. No, I am still processing the information. Yes, you can actually take some time to process. It's left to you. But yes, I will. And if you are ready to take those kind of actions, I think you should be in a community so that we can actually, work together, discuss more about what actions you're taking and how I can actually be of help to you, in taking your actions further. All right, more responses to the poll. All right, okay. So I think that may be all. Are there any live questions? Bilkis, did I answer your question? You sent in a question earlier. I think I must have covered your question, but is there any other thing you want to actually talk about or ask or clarify? Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a bit of a problem. Like, I want to try and do everything. As I mentioned in the email, like, I have a background in biochemistry and I recently started my master's in global environmental change and policy. So there's a lot of environmental policy, so many terminologies that I don't understand yet. Well, this semester I've been able to like get some foundational knowledge. But I
Okay.
just want to know, like, there's environmental policy, there's consulting, there's ESG reporting. Like, there's so much to learn from, and I want to learn everything. I know that I can't learn everything, so I just
Okay.
want to know, like, could you advise which one's like the most important or the one that is in demand, where I can start from?
Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. The truth is, you cannot actually learn, but you can actually enter from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. You cannot learn everything at the moment. Even myself right now, there are still some courses I have planned for myself. There are some things right now. I was telling somebody recently that I want to enter into policy because policy is actually where things happen.
Yeah.
Honestly, recently I began to see so many opportunities in policy and I began to shoot my shots for them. Why? Because policy is actually where things happen, but you may not be opportuned to enter in from policy. Honestly, before someone can give you a policy role, you must actually have some years of experience in it, because you can't be making decisions, in what you do not have experience in. So your very best bet right now, I think you're in Scotland, right? So
Yeah.
in Scotland, look out for community organizations you can begin to volunteer your time in
Yeah.
as a student. That's one hack I'll give to you. And I tried it while I was in my master's as well, and it worked.
Okay.
So look for community organizations in Scotland.
Okay.
Which area of Scotland are you presently in?
I'm in Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. Okay, so that should be up north, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere in the north. Yeah, there are many organizations. There's even one that's coming that I used to see on my link. There's something called Highland and Islands Adapt in Scotland. You can check them out on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
There's also an organization called Virtue. You can VERTUE. You can check them out. There are volunteering opportunities. So start by volunteering as a student, and your best bet, trust me, for the UK market is that you want to have something on your CV before you graduate.
Yeah. Okay.
So please look out for them. Send cold emails, send LinkedIn messages. Please, I want to be involved, even if it means volunteering. What you're doing is that you are building credence for yourself.
Yeah.
And while you now finish school and you're now applying, you may just target 3 industries. This is actually what I did. For me, 3 industries, or three aspects of the climate space. If you're talking about ESG, or you're talking about policy, or you're talking about maybe program management, look for 3 roles. This is actually it may also apply to everyone here. Look for 3 roles, 3 job roles that you actually desire, you want. And what you are going to do, get an Excel sheet, put row 1, row 2, row 3. Job 1, job 2, job 3. Now go on LinkedIn and check the requirements for those job postings in those roles. They require that you must have this experience. They require that you must have this certification. They require that you must have this. They require that you must graduate with this. They require that you must do it for 1, 2, 3. What you're now going to do, that you are now going to be looking for how to align yourself with those requirements, align your CV, allowing the experiences you have to those requirements. I can assure you, if you meet 70 to 80% of those requirements on those jobs, you'll get that job. Or at least you'll get an interview invite. I can assure you for free. So it's very, very important for you to. So first of all, the first for you to start right now, since you're in an environmental course and MSc in United Kingdom, just do well to pair yourself up. Look for community organizations. It could be local, it could be nature-based solutions, whatever they are doing. Community organizations, look out for them in your environment and try to volunteer your time in, and build career, build your competency, have them on your CV, and before you know it, you'll be having this other job scouting I talked about on LinkedIn. And but definitely just keep in touch, and we'll also be able to speak more about this.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? Sorry, your time is really, really fast spent. I'm really apologizing for this, but I think we need to get the amount of value that we got. Any other question in the chat? Any other person that wants to say something? Okay, there's something in the chat. Someone, okay, I think we've responded to that. You haven't seen the poll. So I assume that everyone responded to the poll. Okay, I'll be going back to check the feedback later. Any other thing again? Okay, if there is no other thing again that we want to speak, do you want, okay, I believe it's up to us, but I'm going to be sharing some of the slide. Definitely, I'm going to be sharing the playbook, the 15-page playbook. It contains the opportunities live right now in Nigeria and how you can position yourself. Also, some preliminary courses that you can begin to take. Free courses.